your way. It's been far too long since we've had some VCS to yell at together. Both of these teams with a lot to prove coming in. Spot, the once prodigy, coming back from a ban, trying to prove that the hype is deserved. What do you think of this one your way? What do you think of these drafts?
Well, we are still in the very first week, and still there's so much on the line for both of these teams. We know there are only 14 series, so every single one counts, and both of these teams started 0-2, not in series, but in score, so one series down. Yeah, and especially Sky, after a super successful winter split, their best ever result from all of these players, actually. They need to back it up today. Druktha against Spot. Druktha had a little bit of a spotty performance in the first series, so let's see how he handles Spot on the other side today. But I'm also very excited to talk about Spot, because yeah, he is a little bit of the mysterious boy of the VCS, forever lost in VCSB, and now he's finally back on the stage. So I don't think he's going to be as good as a DNK, but who knows, maybe he's going to be able to prove me wrong in this very first game on stage.
Yeah, we will have to see is Paulette and Celebrity having a bit of a wander up. Paulette is also someone that, you know, used to have a lot more hype around him than perhaps he does now, moving off the Flash roster over to the Super Big Time Chickens. What do you think of Paulette? Do you think he has the opportunity to bounce back, or do you think his time in the sun is over?
I need to see a little bit more tape. I think his winter split was very rough, and rightfully was replaced with Artie at the end. That's not something you want to hear someone saying about you as a support player. Not that Artie's bad, but he's a rookie and you are a multiple champion of the VCS, so it might have been a little bit of not feeling the split. I'm not quite sure, not feeling the roster on Flash, which also is kind of deserved. So I'm going to give him a little bit of time, but if he doesn't step up soon and be one of the main carries of SPTC, then I think we really have to question Paulette's whole career, not his whole career, of course, but at least the current state of career.
Yeah, for sure. Celebrity getting chunked out. Paulette tries to use that Abyssal dive to try and save him. Doesn't quite land, though, so this Jinx is getting chunked out hard. Very good early Aphelios play coming out of Almine, but he gets tagged with a zap. Has to back off with the onslaught, but he's okay for now.
Yeah, Almine playing on the edge here, very aggressive Aphelios, and Spot is here to make his first move. It's against Mininar though, and Mininar is going to have an easy time walking away. Simon needs to... Oh, never mind, Druktha on the other side, a dive.
Dragstar wants to make a play. Elio moves in, lands a CC immediately. Celebrity in so much trouble. First Blood will go over to the Aphelios. They want to trade it back onto Elio, though. If they can, 2T flashes forward.
He needs to get this.
Auto, though. This is disastrous. He has to get this. It's another flash invested. They're not going to get it your way. He's just going to walk out of this one. The laser. No, he finally does get him. It must have been a scorch there. Oh my word, or a corrupting pot, even 2T. They had to use everything, but they do get him the kill.
They get him the kill. That was absolutely crucial. If he doesn't get the kill there, he's behind in farm, he's behind in experience and lane positioning. It's basically over for the mid lane. Glory already is the better mid lane, and now he has to get away from this gank. He doesn't have flash.
Oh, he's in a lot of trouble. He will use the blast cone. Not good positioning there by Draktha at all. Gets knocked the wrong way. 2T, he's got a minion wave to hide behind. Can he outplay this? Oh no, your way, it's a disaster!
That's a kill to Victor. It's a 1-for-1, but Victor getting the kill is actually kind of equalizes the support assist gold. So I think 2T has gotten away with a pretty decent position. Now his wave is going to get frozen potentially by Spot and Paulette here as well, so he's going to come back to a nice minion wave awaiting him in mid lane. But let's take another look at this dive. A very risky one. We take aggro on Elio, which is definitely the good thing to do, but yeah, the teleport from 2T. At this point, you are already consigning Elio to death, and you're saying, okay, it's a 1-for-1, that's fine for us, we got so many resources that it almost goes horribly wrong. They get another flash from Paulette, which can be crucial. Paulette is not easy to kill, but then again, if you get on top of him and if you have enough damage, he doesn't really bring enough mobility to get away either. So in the end, a very spicy early game. Druktha really feeling himself on the Lee Sin. Maybe a little bit too much even, flashing over here. The flash wasn't... I mean, the flash made sense because he had to cover the right side, so 2T couldn't escape to the other side. And the dive, I don't like the dive too much. But yeah.
I mean, I think the flash was fine.
Yeah, the flash was actually good.
Angled it wrong. Yeah,
No,
the flash was great. He just angled it wrong.
No, he actually angled it correctly because he wanted to block the right part. So it was okay for him to not go to the same spot as 2T. The more important thing was for him to cut the escape route towards the right-hand side. So it was okay for him to bounce to the other side.
Fair point your way, very well spotted. This is why you're the color caster, of course, as 2T is now shoving a wave in under tower. And just going to immediately just cop a recall, go back to base. He is now 10 CS down, but of course those 2 kills give him plenty of gold to catch up, and also 50 stacks of his passive, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's the huge part for sure. He's still struggling in lane and he doesn't have flash, so huge opportunity for Drugthar to look for something here. Glory doesn't have flash either, so not the easiest setup ever, but you can see Glory is freezing the wave, or trying to. He didn't really manage to put the freeze into the best position, so now the wave is going to bounce back slowly. But still, Victor a little bit exposed without flash, and Drugthar getting closer to level 6. This could even be Elio roaming. Yeah, you can see Elio's already moving towards mid lane, and you can see the pinks coming in. I love the double pink ward position. Look at this. Both sides know exactly what's up in the mid lane. Both mid lane is without flash. So everyone is aware of what is in store for them, but let's see how they counterplay the actual play. Well,
the ease throw, that's one way to do it your way. Just walk away from it.
Yeah, now TT in the better
Leona
position.
cannot E you without your consent.
Apparently. Now TT is able to stay under tower. He's relatively healthy as well, has ultimate available, so he has escaped the immediate danger. And now there's another opportunity for SBTC to potentially counterplay mid lane aggression with the upcoming Rift Herald. Instead, it's Spot on the Dragon, which is nice because they synced it up with the Elio roam, which means bot lane pressure into Dragon should be a free objective for them. Ooh, or is it that free? It looks like they're going to trade for the Rift Herald as they invested a lot of resources into bot lane, and Drugthar is immediately running towards the other objective, so not quite a free Dragon, but definitely a nice little macro play for them to acknowledge the fact that Elio was missing from bot lane and investing their time to shove the bot lane into a Dragon.
So I think this is an interesting thing to keep track of, because obviously in terms of a one-to-one comparison, this is a win for Sky. One Dragon does very little compared to a first Rift Herald, which does quite a lot. But this is now going to be a test, in my opinion, for SE to see if they realize the play they've made, if they've done it intentionally, and now we see a lot more focus around stacking towards the Dragon Soul. Because this is something I've criticized the SPTC for in the past. Of course, it's a very different roster. Sometimes they make very disjointed moves without thinking of an overall game plan, and that's not something I want to see.
Yeah, we've seen many teams fall flat in the mid game when they have a 2k, 3k gold lead, and then the Dragons actually strike back and lead the enemy team from behind to a soul. So I definitely agree with this. They need to be the proactive team and make the play. They have the honors of execution on their side. The enemy team has basically already put in their work, and now it's on Sky to deliver. Palette's only level 5, Ilya's level 5 as well, but Almina already level 7, so a little bit of extra experience funneled into him. He has the white gun available, so potentially a lot of tower damage to be done, but yeah, Sky not really forcing the issue on the bot side for now, so everyone just waiting for the opportunity, maybe waiting for the one crucial mistake. I'm not sure if I like that. I think Sky could have tried to play this a little bit more proactively, made use of the nice gun combination here on Aomine and just put a lot of pressure into the bot lane instead. They're going to reset, and let's see where they're going to strike next, or at least attempt to strike next.
Yeah, it wasn't a very strong reset for Aomine either. I'm pretty sure he only picked up a ward and a pot. So I completely agree with you. I think they should have been very, very much more proactive, tried to get him towards his Gale Force. But, alas, they did not. Looking at this top lane matchup, not a lot has gone on. This is pretty much how we expect it to go. Nah has control of the lane. We'll get that CS lead, but it's a Gragas. He doesn't care.
Well, he doesn't really care for himself, but looking at the goal totals, the teams actually do care, because Sky is getting very far ahead without even using the Rift Hold. So if the Rift Hold is able to get first tower, the game could just be broken open entirely. You can get to a 3k gold lead, which would basically enable you to dominate the next 10 minutes of the game. So this is a precarious spot now for SPTC. They were the worst early game team, and at the end of Winter Split, even worse than Flash, they gave Flash the only serious win, and mostly due to their abysmal early game performances. So they really need to step up. It's a different team, it's a different lineup of players. Some of them stayed, of course, but we're setting up for the first tower in top lane. This should be pretty easy, but they spent a lot of time. So now, Druktha, where are you?
This is a huge collapse, but Druktha is on the Lee Sin. He's got so much mobility that he is able just to dance away, but the Herald will not be dropped. This appears to be a very much blunted play.
Very nicely done from SPTC, acknowledging the fact that the top lane tower was low enough to be executed, so they immediately moved 4 members to defend the top lane. Not quite the result they wanted. They wanted to basically upset the play and get 1 or 2 kills. Instead, they just thwart the initial advance, which will give them, well, a little bit more time to react, I guess. Not really that much tangible gain for SPTC, but still nice to see their map rotation. But they are bleeding so much gold on these turrets. Look at that. Aomina gets another 160. So even though the Rift Hold hasn't been put to use, Sky has still been able to just mine turret gold in every single lane.
They have, and it is leading to this little bit of a lead as finally the Herald is summoned up. SPTC does have 3 members around the play, but I don't think Sky want anything more than the tower plate. No, they don't. They just walk away. So, still, we have a very slow early game here your way, but 2k gold lead to Sky. They're looking good so far.
And even though the whole play, you have to say, is positive for Sky, this is all back to the Dragon for Rift Hold trade, and the next Dragon is coming up, so it took them 5... Wow, Druktha!
Whoa, Druktha, calm down, mate. He's just flown in. The Lee Syndrome coming in real big there. The rocket's going to whip in, only hit onto Elio. Druktha lives, but he's now extremely low. And as you were saying, Dragon's only 5 seconds away.
And there's no need for that. Druktha, check your timings. I mean, he's going to get back to full HP because jungle is a very balanced role, as you can see. But still, he didn't even use his smite, so might actually not be consequential. And now, if SPTC overchase into this dive, they might just give up the next Dragon.
Yeah, they might. Paulette taking the low spot, has to flash. This is not an ideal situation. Paulette does tick back up, that grey health coming in handy.
Glory STP.
Decent gun for Almine. Definitely think they want to fight over this one. They don't want to just give it up as Druktha enters the pit very early. Has to flash away. No, never mind. It was
Look at Lowry.
W away, my mistake.
Oh!
There's the reset. There's the flamethrower going in. Elio! Glory doing well. The shockwave is absolutely huge. Ripping SPTC apart. Spot taken down. And Sky pick up 4.
It's a wombo combo masterclass. Everyone just chaining their abilities together at the same spot. Beautifully done. Glory from the other side. He could have TP'd towards his team and just approached the Dragon from the same side. He was confident enough to play super riskily on this relatively squishy champion, come from the other side, provide another threat, and basically corral them into this spot where they were just completely lost. And what a bounce back from Sky from their earlier performance this week. Look, it's so beautiful. It's all at the same time. Oh, Elia's ult could have been placed a little bit better, I think, but apart from that, just perfection from Sky, leading with Aphelia's ult into Orianna ult, into Leona ult, and everyone dies instantly. It's a 2-0 for Angle, for Aomina, and Druktha is accelerated. Same goes for Glory. So now the team is up to a 5k gold lead. They hold the Dragon Snowball, everything going Sky's way.
It sure is blue sky days. As, yeah, 5k gold lead, as you said. This is a dominant performance. That fight was so perfectly executed.
Objective bounties are here.
Oh, wow. That's a good system. I love them. I want to give Glory credit just once again. I know you already said it, but the ball positioning was so good, and the shockwave was so big. And SPTC, they are actually going to try and make a play around these objective bounties, trying to get Celebrity more gold. This Jinx still potentially able to carry. It is a Kraken Slayer Jinx, but they've got to be careful as Ryuki's moving forward. A good cleanse will get him away. Now all 5 members of SBTC are around this tower. They have to get this.
Yeah, and Sky kind of squandered their time. Yeah, I think Rio can just get away. Oh, never mind, Spot.
Oh,
okay.
what?
Fair enough. I mean, Sky really wasted a little bit of time. They could have put pressure on the mid and the top lane outer tower much earlier. They're going to use the Herald, so they took some time off to take the Herald, so this is going to give them another tower in the top lane. In the end, it's 2 towers won against objective bounties. That's still a positive trade, especially in map positioning, with the mid lane outer tower going into Armina's pockets and just falling in general, means Sky has complete control over the top side of the map, which, to be fair, is not the greatest thing to have at 16 minutes. It's nice, but then again, there's not really an objective to spawn that's gonna be of relevance there. Baron is going to come up in 4 or 5 minutes, so you're going to look at that objective. Your Baron damage is decent, not amazing, but okay. So in the end, it's a little bit of life for SBTC, but look at the gold lead, it hasn't moved a bit, and it's more gold funneled into Armina, and we know how scary he can be on these team fighting ADCs.
Yeah, 100%. The issue SBTC have here is they're putting a lot of gold into Celebrity, which I think is the right decision, but it's not like Almine falls off. Like, there's debates to be had about who the better teamfight scaling ADC is. I think Aphelios and Jinx, yeah. People will disagree. I think most people lean towards Jinx, but there's no canyon between them. This is not the comparison of, Draven versus Jinx.
Oh, for sure.
Aphelios, he's going to scale just fine.
And the cool thing about Jinx as a championess, even though I think she's very overrated, she is very dependent on the enemy composition and how she's scaling, and this composition is very hard to play for her in the late game because there is so much threat. You have to keep in mind Aomina's ultimate, you have to keep in mind Elio's ultimate, you have to keep in mind a flank potentially from Ryuk and Drakthar, and you always have to keep an eye on the ball from Glory. So Celebrity is not in a state where he's just going to have the late game fantasy Jinx staying back and attacking from 700 range. Even 700 range is not going to be enough. So he can carry, he does potentially have the damage potential later, but it's going to be a very hard game to play. And you saw him overstep just against Ryuk at the tower, and he immediately had to flash. If he ever does that in a team fight, he's done for. So he cannot afford to step out of line a single bit. And this is one of the differences between Jinx and a few of the other ADCs, as Ryuk has overstayed. But he should be fine.
Yeah, but he flashes away. There's a teleport coming. This is bold. It's a 2v3 at best. Drakthar coming in from the side. Glory ripped out the ultimate, done a whole lot of nothing with it. Almine misses the Moonlight Vigil as well, but it just doesn't matter. They're too far ahead your way as the ADCs are raining in damage, but it's Almine that's drawing the blood as another one will fall. Spot tagged up with the Gravitum, rooted up for a moment, but I don't think they want to go under tower for him. I think they just want the tower. This was a play that SBTC started, but Sky ended it.
Yeah, and definitely a play that shouldn't go Sky's way. In a more even game state, they would have definitely thrown a ton here, but they're too far ahead. Now 10k in the lead, so they can just brute force their way to teamfights victories, and we saw one of the biggest trolls of all time in that team fight, so I'm going to leave a little bit of suspense for the replay. But yeah, this basically means the game is over. There is an opportunity for SBTC to get an objective bounty and a dragon, but in the meantime, keep your eyes on Palette's ultimate. I think this is one of the biggest trolls I've ever seen out of Tahm Kench, reminiscent of Mythy Tahm Kench, I think. Look at him here. 2T could just step back into his base, instead he gets cobbled.
What?
It's so good.
Palette! I didn't see that on the live
so
play.
Funny.
Palette! That's reportable!
You just insta-killed him. The dragon did go over to SPTC, they claimed another dragon, and they claimed an objective bounty on the dragon. Now, I do agree with most people that objective bounties are very inconsequential in most situations. It's just not enough gold to really turn the tide of the game, but it's a little bit of gold, and we see 2 items finished for Celebrity, so at least he's kind of getting there. I mean, the most expensive item is still to be built for him, but we see a good weapon combination for the Baron, and it's going down super quickly.
That it is, and look, SVTC at this point, you don't have too many options. You just need to throw things at the wall, and hopefully some of that spaghetti sticks. because right now it's not looking like a great meal. Sky dashed up in the purple. Dragon 4 minutes away. SBTC still a long way from Seoul. This is just going to be a test of how cleanly Sky closes games out.
Usually they're very good in the mid-game, at least in winter they were a very decisive team, very good at forcing fights with their dive compositions. It's a little bit of a different look today. They have some diving options, especially in the supportive cast, but their two main carries aren't quite the Kaisers we've seen, the Silases we've seen from Glory and Aomine, so a little bit more respectful, hopefully, in the next team fights. This could be a throw coming from them. But generally, I want to zoom out and think about Sky a little bit. It's very hard to make sweeping statements in week 1, and we saw them struggle a lot against Luxury. Now, this was also due to Luxury playing well, but Sky just looked disjointed. They looked lost on the map, lost in communication. Today is a huge step up for them. And yeah, maybe it's just SBTC being the worst team in the league. That is definitely possible. But just looking at Sky's performances without even taking into consideration what SBTC has been doing, it's a pretty clean game.
Yeah, honestly it is. As they build up this siege on the mid lane, 2 lanes pushing in. SBTC is able to fend this off. I mean, Baron this early in the game, it's good, obviously, but it's not amazing because you can't really dive under the towers or anything like that and actually really secure the win. But nonetheless, Sky in full control your way.
You can see the differences between Barons across different regions and different games. Baron from ahead is such a strong objective, because the enemy team can't punish you. Baron doesn't really give you anything in team fights, a little bit of stats, but especially this early, it's 20 AD, who cares? But it gives you so much pushing power, and there we go.
Yeah, they're going to try and prove me wrong. They do just go under the tower. They immediately blow up one member. Paulette will soon be following. Spot the next to go down. Another shockwave landing as well. Almine has been caught out, has been taken down, but I think he'll take that trade for 4 members of the enemy team. They take down an inhibitor. They will move over to a crashing wave in mid, take down a second. And they show that you actually can do a whole hell of a lot with the first Baron buff, as 3 inhibitors are about to fall at 23 minutes.
You can when you're this far ahead. Baron, for me, is a win more objective nowadays. You're not really able to just take the Baron in an even game state and siege the base. That's super risky. You're still exposing yourself to easy flanks, and most of the time we see teams trying to do that. They fail, they get collapsed on, they lose, and then everyone says, oh, Baron was such a huge mistake, or misplay with the Baron buff. But most of the time Baron is just a little bit of control, a little bit of gold. But if you're this far ahead, you can use the Baron minions to get into super good positions, and there we see Sky using them to set up the dive. Aomine got a little bit too excited here, just walked into the Victor AoE and got shut down by a rogue rocket from Celebrity, but in the end it doesn't matter. 3 inhibitors down, the game is absolutely over. Can we finish sub 25 minutes? I'd guess so, but let's see what Sky does. And if SBTC has anything to say for themselves, one last ditch effort against 3 super minion waves.
Yeah, I don't know how they hold this one off. I think even just the super minions on their own, based on how SBTC has been playing, might be a bit too much for them. And when you add in the rampaging Sky, I think they're in a lot of trouble, as they actually do clear out the first wave. But
there they come.
Because they keep on coming and they don't stop coming.
Ooh, nicely
done. Up on Spot, who has done a whole lot of nothing this game. The kills are coming in immediately. Gragas and Jinx have been removed straight away. Back onto the Summoners platform does go too, but I don't think they can do anything. Spot frontlining. The Crescent Guard buying him time, but time does not mean wins, as he will finally fall. Paulette and 2T left to merely watch their base fall, preserve their KDA, as Sky bounce back from a horrible first series to take a